Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how we can solve two-step equations. So we've done simple equations before, working through pre-algebra videos. So if you want to go back and review some of those, go check out previous videos I've made for pre-algebra. But for right now, we're going to go into two-step equations. So a two-step equation, we're going to have obviously multiple steps that we need to do. But we always want to undo our addition or subtraction first. Then we will undo our multiplication or division. So what we mean by undo is we're going to do the inverse operation, okay? So let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to do 4 examples in varying difficulty. So let's start with number 1. So we have 2x plus 12 is equal to 4. So the goal here, remember, is to figure out what x is. So we want to undo everything that's happening to x. So I want to undo my plus 12 first. So I'm going to subtract 12, and whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So the reason I subtract 12 is because now that's going to cancel out that plus 12 on the left. And now all we have left on the left side of our equal sign is 2x. Now on the right side, we can evaluate what's 4 minus 12. That would give us negative 8. Now we have 2 times something is equal to negative 8. So what's happening to x? X is being multiplied by 2. So let's do the opposite of multiply by 2, or the inverse, and let's divide by 2. So now 2x divided by 2. We're going to say the 2's are going to cancel, but really it becomes 1. So 1x, which is just x. So now we have x is equal to, and negative 8 divided by 2 would be negative 4. So our solution for number 1 would be negative 4. And remember, we could always go back and check by substituting negative 4 in for x. So 2 times negative 4 would be negative 8, and then negative 8 plus 12 would get us to positive 4. So we know we're good on number 1. All right, number 2. Y divided by 2 plus 6 is equal to 10. So once again, we have this plus 6 here. Let's subtract that to do the inverse of add 6. That will cancel out the plus 6 on the left. Now we have y divided by 2 is equal to 10 minus 6, which would be 4. Now what's the opposite of divide by 2? Well, that would be multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Once again, that's going to cancel out my 2's on the left. So we're left with y is equal, and 4 times 2 would be 8. So y would be 8 for number 2. All right, number 3, we throw some fractions in there, but we're going to still follow the same steps. Let's undo the addition or subtraction first. Now this one looks a little bit different because we have our constant listed before the coefficient. So we have 2/5 plus 4x. Well, I don't see a plus sign before 2/5, but we don't see a minus or a negative sign. So if our constant is listed first, then we're going to assume that it is positive. So now to undo 2/5 on the left side, we're going to subtract 2/5. So now I subtract it over here. So that will cancel out my 2/5 on the left, and we're left with 4x. Now we can do negative 6/5 minus 2/5. Well, we could write it like this. We'll do it horizontally, maybe to make us see it better. Okay. So now we have the same denominator, so we can leave the denominator of 5, and then negative 6 minus 2 would be negative 8. Okay. So we have 4x is equal to negative 8/5. Now we're going to divide both sides by 4, but this is going to look really strange if I write it like that. So if I write it horizontally, divide by 4, then we can see that we need to keep, flip, and change. So KFC, if you've heard that before. So what we do is when we're dividing fractions, we're going to keep the first fraction, so negative 8 over 5. We're going to flip the second one from 4 to 1/4. And we're going to change our division to multiplication. So now we have x is equal to, and negative 8 times 1 would be negative 8, and 5 times 4 would be 20. Now both of these values, negative 8 and 20, could be divisible by 4. That would be the greatest common factor of both of those numbers. So if I reduce my fraction by dividing by 4, we're going to get negative 2 over 5. So negative 2/5 would be our answer for number 3. And we could check that by plugging it back in for our variable if we wanted to. All right, in our last example, we actually have some like terms that are already on the same side of the equal sign. So we're going to actually combine those first before doing any inverse operations. So notice here we have a 4 and we have a plus 3. So 4 plus 3, we can do the operation that we see because both of those terms are already on the same side of the equal sign. So 4 plus 3 would be 7, and then we have this minus 2x is equal to negative 9. Now we need to move our 7 to the other side, so we're going to subtract 7. So now we are going to be able to eliminate that 7, and we have negative 2x is equal. Negative 9 minus 7 would be negative 16. We're going to divide both sides by negative 2, and we're going to end up with our final answer of x equals 8. Okay, so that's how you can solve two-step equations and 4 varying ranges of difficulty, and also just 4 different types of equations where we still have to do 2 steps, or maybe combine like terms on the same side, work with fractions, so on and so forth. So that's how you can solve two-step equations.